Hello everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. No matter which way you look at it, there's something definitely weird going on in the church these days. Not that we haven't talked about it, or others haven't talked about it numerous times before, but as long as the weird stuff keeps going on, it needs to keep being talked about. A wall has been constructed by the crowd of modernist Catholics and misguided Catholics. The bricks in the wall are made from perversions of the church's social teaching and sexual morality teachings, and they are lumped together under the heading of justice. Much has been made on this website about the twisted and perverse presentations of the church's social teaching. But in the area of sexual teaching, another dimension needs to be hammered out specifically. It is the acquiescence on the part of so many leaders in the church to the radical homosexual agenda. The Catholic Church is perfectly clear with regard to the moral nature of homosexuality and the sinfulness of homosexual acts. Relying on various paragraphs from the Catechism, the Vatican declared in 2003, as recently as 2003 and many times before that, the homosexual inclination is, however, objectively disordered, and homosexual practices are sins gravely contrary to chastity. It's summed up in the same document, Persona Humana. The Church teaches that respect for homosexual persons cannot lead in any way to approval of homosexual behavior. And see, here's where the weird factor comes into play. Those teachings are perfectly clear, and yet on the ground, in diocese after diocese and university after university, all over the United States and Europe, there is a homosexual subculture inside the church which has been allowed to flourish and expand, fester might be a better word, routinely, week after week. Hardly a day goes by where some pro-homosexual agenda-pushing modernist Catholic isn't giving a lecture, preaching a homily, offering a mass, running a campus ministry office, and isn't subtly, and oftentimes not so subtly, undermining the church's teaching by, well, lying or parsing words to such an extent that it's clear that deception is the goal. For example, and believe me, this is just one out of thousands we could share, Father Craig Hightower, a Jesuit and director of the campus ministry at Gonzaga University in Spokane, said in an interview, quote, "Homosexuality is not condemned in any way, shape, or form." What? Are you serious, Father? If that's supposed to be some finely worded Jesuitical theological distinction that it is technically correct, playing on the word condemned, it fails totally in the area of spiritual counsel. At Gonzaga, according to the article, the student body president is self-described as gay. Tyler Hobbs is his name, and it's difficult to read the quotes from him in this article and conclude that he correctly understands not only the church's teaching regarding homosexuality, but the reasoning and the truth behind those teachings. As a matter of fact, that more importantly. And with priests running around saying things like what Father Hightower is reported to have said, who could blame the young Hobbs? Has he ever really had the truth given to him in any substantive form? And I don't just mean someone quoting the catechism to him in class and then dismissing it. Have these people given charge over the destiny of these souls, these young souls, spent any real time telling them the truth, the whole truth? In this case, it would appear that Father Hightower, in the very least, has been massively deceptive, at least in the magazine article quotes, if they quoted him correctly. The article says in part, Hightower said the only document the American Catholic Church has to guide it on the topic of homosexuals within the church is a document from the United States Conference, meaning the bishops, called Always Our Children. They're not meaning to be experts on sexuality. They're not meaning to be experts on orientation, but they are providing pastoral ministry to parents and students at a very difficult time in someone's life as they come to terms and come to the freedom of their orientation, Hightower said. And that concludes that part of the article. There is so much wrong with that you hardly know where to begin. First, and perhaps most importantly, there is no such thing. Get this, liberals. There is no such thing as the American Catholic Church. although you've tried to construct it as best you can since Vatican II. There is the Roman Catholic Church in America, but not the American Catholic Church. Secondly, Catholics in America have much more than that highly speculative document called Always Our Children to serve as a guide for this subject. Much more. Thirdly, sin, which engaging in homosexual acts is, never leads to freedom. It leads to enslavement. Fourth, at no time, at least in the article, does Father Hightower ever reference the Church's official teaching, nor make mention of the call to chastity that all people are obligated to. This case is a prime example of the problem in the Church with regard to this area as well as many others. The Vatican expresses the truth, and many of the ground troops ignore it, distort it, dismiss it, and refuse to preach it. For the next few days, we're going to be focusing on this topic and its related problems, like the lack of any organized or coherent response on the part of church leaders to the homosexual agenda. We're going to do this because the truth needs to be told even in the face of official representatives of the faith who refuse to say what needs to be said. Souls are at stake, and silence and acquiescence, falsely shrouded as charity and prudence, are not allowed. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.
Please help us keep delivering these kinds of messages that so desperately need to be heard and acted on. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber. Become immersed in the faith established by Jesus Christ. The Catholic Church is the only hope against evil because that is its God-given mission. As our Lord said, apart from me, you can do nothing. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber and come to learn and love Christ more deeply.